Good evening, friends. Myself Jaimin Shah. What we'll be discussing today is the last 1 week to NMAT, or maybe for some of you, last 2 months to NMAT, because NMAT we are going to conduct over a period of 10 weeks, right? So there may be varieties of students. Few of them would have started their preparation, almost completed their preparation long time back, focusing only on practicing mocks. Few of you would fall into category would have started a month back, and maybe few of you would just start preparing for NMAT. Your focus would have been, on your T5, on your final year, or some other exams. So let us try to cater all the types of students. So let us first check the comparison between NMAT 2015 and NMAT 2016 paper pattern. Now, the correct answers to be attempted in 2015 and 2016 NMAT would somehow go almost on the similar line. If you see Quant and DI in 2015 was relatively easier as compared to 2016. In 2016, we came across few questions where the type and the difficulty of the questions which were very high. Probably those were the roadblock questions, or you say roadblocker, while attempting for content DI sections. I still remember one question in NMAT which was to find some number of zeros in some 2000 something factorial in base 16. So they combine both the concept. Now, when student is looking for the first time, such questions become too time consuming because you don't know how to find number of zeros in some different base. We are practicing in the base decimal, so we know only in decimal system, right? Similarly, there were few more questions which involved 2 or 3 different concepts together, or they were a bit lengthy. And hence, if you compare the number of the correct answers went down by 2 3 questions. Verbal more or less remains same. I mean, it's been same throughout the years. And again, in logic, few questions, like 1 or 2 questions, which used to be easier, simpler, they increase the level of difficulty for that particular type of question, and hence the number of correct attempt in logic last year would go down by a 2 or 3 question as compared to 2015. But more or less, if you ask me, the level of difficulty more or less was around not all same. Why? Because the cutoffs were not different. Cutoffs were same, which means even though the paper went difficult, there's a possibility student performed better in 2016 as compared to 2015. Now let's look at the cutoff for MBA and PGDBM programs. For MBA, that is MBA core in Mumbai, the overall cutoff was 2008 versus 200 for PGDBM, that is Bangalore and Hyderabad campus. If you look at the quant section, the difference is only 4 marks. In logic is again around 5 6 marks, and in verbal the cutoff is more or less same. And this has been the scenario over last couple of years. Now, if you add up to the cutoffs of each section, that is 74 plus 61 plus 55, that would not reach to 208. If you simply add up, that gives you around 210 somewhere. But the cutoff, if you see, that is 208 and not 210, right? Now, if you focus on content DI, it's for 60 minutes and it has 48 questions, out of which around 28 questions are in quant and data sufficiency, and 20 questions are from data interpretation type. If you ask me about good attempts would be roughly around 30 questions as we saw in the earlier chart, with around 85 to 90% accuracy. DI is normally lengthy and calculation intensive. There will be around 5 odd sets, 4 5 odd sets. Maybe you can attempt 2 or maximum 3 sets. There will be at least 1 or 2 sets which you would have to leave because it would be too much calculation intensive. Now, ideally, how should be your approach? There can be different methodology, but if you have to streamline maybe you can attempt quant for 35 minutes and maybe target around 20-22 odd questions. And in the remaining 20 minutes, you can try to attempt around 3 odd sets, maybe 2 or 3 odd sets. And you have 5 minutes in the end. Maybe you can go and attempt the question which you haven't attempted yet, or just mark the, just bluff it. Now coming to logical reasoning section, you have 38 minutes to attempt 40 questions, which means here per question time is not even 1 minute, it is less than a minute. Ideally, you should be attempting around 25 questions with around 90% accuracy and not 80-85% as we saw in quant. Various types of questions like input-output, the metrics like 4 into 4 or 5 into 4 types metrics are a bit lengthy. Which means these are the question type which you should keep at the end, or maybe you can bluff it. Normally we have seen that students are very good in verbal reasoning, but when it comes to NMAT, because of time pressure, they normally fall into examiners' catch. They tend to make mistakes and mark the wrong answer option because they are in hurry. So maybe you can focus on verbal reasoning and try to improve your accuracy there. In verbal reasoning, we have around 12 questions. Puzzles around 12 questions and 16 questions based on sets. Ideally, what you should be doing is attempt syllogisms and puzzles in around 15-16 odd minutes. Then maybe the 3 sets in next 15 minutes. And input output maybe at the end if you have time. Or you can just make it mark as a bluff cases. I am continuously saying input output being difficult. I have come across few students who felt input output easy. But for majority of them, it's not easy to correct the logic which is asked in NMAT. And even if it is easy, it is time consuming because if I have less than 1 minute or approximately 1 minute per question, solving input output 5 questions in 5 minutes becomes difficult. And at times in NMAT, they club 2 topics in input output. Sometimes in input output question, they ask what would be the third letter to the right of second from the left hand of the step 3. Which means you have to calculate step 3, find out what is step 3, and then answer what is the third letter and what the question was. Sometimes they also ask in input output, what would be the antonyms of the fourth word from the right end of the fifth step? Now, even if you find out what is the step, even if you find out which is the fourth word, but if you don't know the meaning of that word, it's gone. Right? And hence, it's advisable to leave at the end. If you have time, you can attempt it. Now let's come to verbal section. It's 22 minute, 32 question. Good attempt would be around 25 questions with around 85% accuracy. Now, and believe me, it's pretty possible to attempt 25 or more than 25 questions in verbal because verbal section of NMAT is simpler and easiest of the lot. RC is time consuming and hence should be kept for the end. Now, ideally, we have 2 RCs of 8 questions, 4 questions each. Grammar and FIV put together 18 questions and vocabulary 6 questions. Ideally, we should attempt grammar, fill in the blank, vocabulary in the first 15 minutes. And believe me, that's very much possible. What I'm talking about 24 questions in 15 minutes. Yes, it's very much possible to attempt 24 questions in 15 or max 16 minutes. It should not take more than that. And maybe in the next 5 minutes, we can attempt 1 RC genuinely. And we have left 1 or 2 minutes left. We can bluff the entire next RC. Because if I try and attempt 2 RC genuinely, then I'm spending around 10 to 11, 12 minutes and only 8 questions are done. Which means my strike rate will go down. And hence it is advisable to keep 1 RC at the end for the bluff guesses. Now, in the entire NMAT, what should you leave? What are we talking about? Some around roughly 2 odd sets in data interpretation. Couple of quant questions which act as a road blocker. And it's very important to identify, okay, this is difficult, skip it and move ahead. Input output, 1 or 2 logic sets and 1 RC in English section. Now this was about the paper pattern of NMAT and the breakup of the question in each section. Now, if we take around 80% accuracy on an average, this is what we said, can't attempt genuine 30, so it means remaining 18 would be bluff guesses. So even with 80% accuracy out of 30, that is 24 correct, 24 is 72 marks. And out of 18 questions bluff guesses, even if I get 4 correct, I still get 12 marks. So that adds up to 84. And my cutoff was somewhere around 74, right? Similarly, if you look at logic and verbal section also, my cutoff will always be more than, my score will always be more than the cutoff which been there over the last couple of years. And the overall score, if you see, it's pretty higher. Overall score tend to be around 208, 209 marks. And if I go ahead with this agenda, with this set target, I may score 219 or even higher. We have seen students scoring 222, 220, 230, 240 also, and that's pretty possible. Make sure that you score as high as possible in NMAT because most of the weightage for the final conversion is given to the your NMAT score. So it is advisable to score as high as possible rather than focusing only on to clear the cutoff of 208 or 209. Now, from the preparation point of view, numbers, geometry, ratio and percentage are the topics which are very important from NMAT point of view. So maybe you can say, equations or algebra, higher order, maybe permutation, combination, you'll have one odd question. If you are not comfortable, you can keep for the, maybe you can practice at the end if you have time. But these are the 4 areas which you should definitely focus on. Calculation is the key, like approximation. There are, many techniques for approximation. There are various books available. You have videos on YouTube to do approximation calculation, dividing 3-digit number by 4-digit, dividing 4-digit number by 2-digit. How can you get an approximate value faster orally? You should be knowing it because that will definitely save hell lot of time. It's, I always say one thing, even if you save 30 seconds or let's say 20 second worst case in one calculation per question, and if you are attempting around, let's say 15 odd questions, you are saving 300 seconds. That is 5 minutes. Now imagine, can't you solve at least 3 or 4 questions more in 5 minutes? That's definitely possible, right? Which means you are scoring 9, 10 marks, 9 marks more in quant section. That will not only clear your cutoff, help you to clear your cutoff, but it will also boost your overall score when it comes to, the final selection. Okay. In logic, you need to practice puzzles as many as possible, whether it be blurred relationship, your circular arrangement, or linear arrangement, matrix arrangement, where are coding, decoding types. Keep on practicing, keep on practicing. As soon as you see the question, you should know what's the logic. Because that is how your preparation levels should be. As we discussed, you don't even have a minute per question, right? Need to improve your speed and accuracy in syllogisms. Syllogisms is one pain area which student hates a lot. But believe me, if you practice around 50, 70 odd syllogs question, different variety, I think those 5 questions in NMAT, 4 or 5 questions, syllogs question in NMAT would be a cakewalk, would be a very pretty simple straight away questions. So don't live on syllogisms. Okay, speed, as we discussed, is going to be the key in logic sets. Now coming to verbal, you need to do a normal practice. You don't need to worry more about verbal except for vocabulary. No, there are 6 questions on vocabulary, whether you know it or you don't know it, right? And hence, building vocabulary becomes very much essential. Probably 1 or 2 weeks before your NMAT, you should focus on vocabulary maybe 2-3 hours on a daily basis. It's like, whether either you know it or you don't know it. If you get 6 vocabulary, you get it in 2 minutes, right? And if you don't know it, you don't know it at all. So 6 questions are gone straight away. So what are you looking at? 6 questions of vocabulary gone, 5 questions of RC gone. So 11 questions are straight away gone out of 32. Which means you're left with only 21 questions. Now attempting 21 with a very high accuracy going to be a little dicey situation to clear the cutoff of verbal with that is 55 marks of verbal, right? And hence focus on vocabulary should be very high. Normal grammar questions, they have preposition type. They are very easy. So don't focus more on grammar or something, RC. You're practicing for various exams. Rest everything will be taken care of. Focus on vocabulary. So overall, student always keeps on asking, how many attempts should be taken? It's always one answer, as many as you can take. Can you take 3 attempts? Take 3. Can you take 2? Take 2. I understand that there is always a economic factors involved. Like you have always have to pay same amount 3 times. I have a different way to look at it. What if you attempt only once and you score 200 odd marks? What if you attempt 2 more times and your score goes to 212 or 215, 220? You have a chance to get into a next session, next round, that is GA and PI process. If you take only for one attempt, you have given only one attempt, right? And you cannot be sure of whether you will score the cutoff. You will clear the cutoff. What if you give one and you just missed cutoff by 1 mark? You will regret at the end, right? At least give 2 attempts if possible, so that you at least don't regret कि काश मैंने एग्जाम लिख लिया होता और एक बार. You don't want to be in this scenario, right? Now, ideally, what do I suggest is the order of the section selection should be your strong section first, so that you can maximize in the section when you are fresh. Then go to your weaker area, because once you have attempted your strongest area, you have much more confidence to go and attempt the weaker section, because you would have attempted lots of questions. If you start with the weak section, maybe you may get demoralized. That okay, I have not attempted, I would not clear that section ka cutoff. So then your focus on the next 2 sections is also very less. And hence I would recommend to go in this order. Again, student always comes, yeah sir, NMAT mein to we can bluff. So how does it matter? Always point is how many you will bluff, and out of that how many you will get it correct. So you need to score the 210 marks, right? You cannot score 210 marks just on basis of bluffing. You need to have an accuracy, and you need to have a good amount of accuracy. If you would have seen, we have taken around 80-85% of accuracy. That's really good accuracy for an NMAT. So never lose your accuracy. Okay, always keep an eye on the time. Especially when it comes to verbal section, we have only 22 minutes to attempt 32 questions, and that section go like this. You don't even know when the time is gone. So keep an eye on the timer, especially for NMAT exam. Now, strategy. Ideally, various strategies, students have various strategies to attempt paper. What I feel the best way to solve is, take first question, solve. If you know, you solve and mark the answer. If you know how to solve, but if you feel that it is lengthy, or if you know that understood what it is, but you don't know the approach, still mark the answer, bluff it, but mark it for review. What are we doing? We are attempting all questions, because many times what happens, students leave questions in between and then they say, we will come at the end and then we will bluff. And I have come across many students over the last so many years that they just run out of time. And at the end, if you have not understood any question and if you feel that this question is something which I have kept for option, just mark it and don't mark for review. Which means I have attempted all 40 questions. Now, all 48 questions in quant. Let's say I have attempted all 48 questions in quant, okay, and I still have 10 minutes left. Then I will use a functionality, show me all the questions which I have marked for review. Which means only those questions will be shown to you where you have marked for review, correct? So you can then solve and then change the option if need be. Now you should have a clarity of what you are doing, because if you don't have clarity what you are doing, you can't go anywhere, especially in the exam where the focus is on accuracy and speed both. Now, what do I mean by clarity? You should know what are your strong and weak areas at least 1 week before the actual date, so that when that question arises, you know that okay, I know this question, I have to solve it. For example, I am weak in geometry, so as soon as I see geometry question, I bluff it, I mark for review, and I go ahead. correct? So I don't waste time in at least, even thinking for 30 or 40 seconds how to approach, how to solve it. We are saving those 30-40 seconds. In NMAT, 30-40 seconds is also very crucial. Also identify the issues that you face while attempting the test. The common issue that students come across is they can't focus for too long, 2 hours at a stretch because it becomes too exhaustive solving lots of DIX, XDI, solving lots of RC puzzles, speed is very high. This is one issue. If you face it, then you should have a solution to it. You can't sit for 2 hours at a stretch. Practice your study material sitting 3 hours at a stretch. So what are you doing? When you sit for 3 hours, you are making yourself prepare to sit at a stretch for 3 hours, which means you will at least be focused for 2.5 hours, and that is what you need in NMAT. You need to have focus for 2 hours in NMAT, right? So whatever issues that you come up with, try to sort it out at least 1 week before the actual NMAT, and make sure that you implement it while you're taking the mock exams. It is very important to do SWOT analysis. Now you should know which of the following question would fall under high speed, high accuracy, high speed, low accuracy, low accuracy, low speed, and low accuracy, high speed. Now, the questions which falls under high speed, high accuracy, you are definitely going to attempt it, correct? If the question which falls under high speed, low accuracy, I would still suggest to go and attempt it. Why? Because my accuracy is good. When I say low speed, it doesn't mean that my speed should be, more than 1.5 2 minutes. My speed should be less than 2 minutes, 1.5 2 minutes. Only then it, fall under high speed, low accuracy. When I say high speed, high accuracy, it means my speed is less than a minute per question. So if you see the first two category at the top, they are must to do in NMAT. Now, if you have identified something with low speed, low accuracy, low speed, high accuracy. Low speed, low accuracy is really a pain. Keep that aside. What is something with low accuracy and you have high speed? Can you, can you reduce your speed? So, for example, if you are attempting a syllogism question in 30 or 35 seconds, 40 seconds, and accuracy is very bad, you are attempting 5 questions, getting 1 or 2 correct. Can you attempt that for a minute and get 3 or 4 out of 5 correct? If you try doing this, you need to juggle around questions after every mock that you take. Okay, which questions fall under which category, and maybe take a learning from the previous test, take it to the next test and try to implement that and see which strategy suits you the best. I am sure everyone knows him, the god of cricket, right? In any interview by any player, by his coach, he himself would have said, then don't take the practice session like a practice session. And that is what we suggest. Take your every mock NMAT like the actual NMAT. Don't take it like, okay, this is a mock NMAT, chalo isme 8-10 mark kam aa gaya, it's fine. Don't take with that attitude. Take your mock NMAT like the actual NMAT. Your actual NMAT will be your next mock NMAT. I hope you are getting it, what I am trying to say. If you are taking 10 mocks, take like actual mock. No disturbance, no mobile phone, nothing. Okay? And take it for 2 hours at a stretch. Don't take break, don't close your machine, again resume, don't do that. Students tend to do that, okay? So don't do it, take it like an actual NMAT. That is most important thing. One day to go to exam. So what you should be doing? Revising formula and vocabularies and all those stuff, right? Yo. Keep calm and just chill. If you have studied for 3 months, 4 months, a year, what is going to happen in last one day? Right? If you have taken 10 mocks, it's not going to, change anything if you don't study a day before. So don't take too much of panic. Ideally, you should not be taking any mock a day before your actual exam. Should never do it. Very, very crucial, very important. Please reach on time. We have seen students who have been sent back home because they were late to the venue. I have seen a student who has brought his only one ID card last year and he was not allowed to take the exam. You need to take two ID cards and read instruction carefully. There is something called as primary ID, there is something called as secondary ID. And they have classified which two ID, what comes under primary and what comes under secondary. Apart from two ID cards, you need to carry confirmation page, the email that they have sent, take a printout and an admit card. So you need to carry four things on the test day. Thank you very much. You can ask me questions, you can type questions. I am here to clear your doubts. Okay, so Kunal has asked question, sir, what about vocabulary? As I discussed, vocabulary is something which you cannot say, you prepare for 1,000 words and you do it. Yeah. What you can do is 2 weeks before exam, every day 2 hours, take a high frequency word. There are high frequency word available online and market stores available. There are high frequency word, medium frequency and low frequency. Focus on high frequency. If you are finished with that, focus on medium frequency. Also, you will find lots of NMAT based vocabulary words on social media, which is not allowed actually, but students do post it on social media, on WhatsApp or Facebook or XYZ social media. What was asked last year. Maybe if you go through that, you know what type of words we now. Maybe at least you can revise them, at least you can remember the synonyms and antonyms of them. I hope I've answered you, Kunal. Okay, I think Nikhil has asked the same question from where to prepare antonyms and synonyms. I think I have already answered that. Okay. The same question follows by Narendra. Vocabulary. What is FIB? Okay. So FIB is fill in the blank. It's so you have a fill in the blank or you have a closed test. So it's a closed test. The different types of fill in the blank, like where they give you a passage and there are 4 or 5 blanks. For every blank they give you 5 options and it's a 4 different questions. So let's say question number 21 to 24 is a closed test. A paragraph with 4 blanks. Question 21, 4 options. Question 22, next blank, 4 options, and so on and so forth. Thank you, Vikrant, for clarifying FIB is fill in the blank. Aditya is asking how to improve vocabulary in any reference in particular. Again, there is no mantra to crack vocabulary, as you know. You have to read, read a lot. Yeah, there is no other option. I should not be telling this, but there are students, after taking NMAT, they post it on a social media website. But I mean, if you somehow could find out where do they post it, you can make use of it because the vocabulary keeps on repeating in each slot for that particular window. So that is one thing which you can do if you want to. How to prepare for syllogisms questions? Shika has asked the question. Syllogism questions in NMAT are not very difficult. MSCD has a very difficult syllogism question as compared to NMAT. So if you are preparing from an NMAT, maybe you can take an RS Agrawal. RS Agrawal has a lots of syllogism question and an NMAT level syllogism question. So if you are done with RS Agrawal, maybe you can, take any classes material, across, there are various coaching institute, you can take test material, online there are lots of material available and practice from the classes material or online material, whichever is available. Syllogisms can only be improved by practicing enough. In maths, I would say you practice one type of questions 3 or 4 times, you are through, but not in syllogisms. The more you practice, more you become perfect and more you will save your time. Okay, Vikrant has asked how many mocks are enough? Theoretically, as many as you can take. But if you ask me practically, if you are taking the first, let's say you are taking NMAT twice, then I would suggest before the first NMAT take at least 3 or 4 mocks, and before the second NMAT take around another 4 or 5 mocks. So if you have 10 mocks, don't complete all 10 mocks in one go. Or what you can do is take mocks from various institute, 10 from XYZ, 10 from ABC, practice 10 before first, practice 10 before second, right? But ideally, I don't think you need 10 mocks for NMAT. If you are preparing for, if you're preparing from so many times, so many months, then I think 3 to 4 mocks should be enough. But if you're planning to take only one attempt, then I would suggest take around 8-10 mocks before your DNMAT and then go. Okay, Gaurav is asking, I'm getting less mark in con in 60s. I have solved con first. Should I change the sequence of section now? As I have taken 8 mocks and scoring in 192.10. So Gaurav, it's good that you know where your problem lies. If you're scoring between 190 and 210, it means that you are good with LR and verbal and you know you are weak in con. Now, I really don't know whether switching the order would really help you. Because if you are weak in con and if you keep con at the end, maybe you will get more exhausted for the end and you may perform badly. What you can do is maybe keep con in the middle. Try with your strongest area. Let's say if you're good with verbal, try for 1 or 2 mocks keeping verbal and E first, then con, and then move to LR. Right? In cons also specifically, what you can do is if you have taken 8 mocks, can you find out how many genuine questions you are attempting? So for example, out of 48 if you are attempting, let's say 30 genuine, and you are making 10 mistakes and 10 mistakes and 20 correct. So that is also a problem area. You need to understand. If you are attempting 30, can you do one thing rather than attempting 30? Can you attempt 27 and get only 2 or 3 wrong? You will still score more than 72. If you attempt 27 and get 3 wrong, which means you are at 24, right? You will still score 72 plus. That is 12 more than 60. So that is also one angle where you should analyze your con section more and more. Vikrant again is asking any specific study material for con. One thing is for sure that the NMAT guide which is available, do not refer that, because that NMAT guide is relatively very simple as compared to the question type that comes in actual NMAT. I have experienced it last year and this year it's more or less on the similar line. So until and unless the NMAT decreases the level of difficulty, the NMAT guide will definitely not help you. Now coming to the study material, again, I would always suggest rather than last two weeks before NMAT, if you are asking me study material, I would suggest take n number of mocks. Let's say you have taken 10 mocks. Someone has taken 8 mocks. Let's say that person has taken 8 mocks. You have 48 into 8 questions available, roughly around 360 odd questions, 380, 90 questions available with you, right? Can you focus only on those questions? See, because mocks would be prepared with some agenda, the type of question that comes in NMAT, right? So only focus on those questions and make sure that all those question type you are well versed with. You should be able to solve each and every question if I ask you that question by changing the number or by changing the values, right? Just focus on that. Yeah, Nikhil has asked, is there any scaled score also or just a raw score in on? Very good. There's definitely a scaled score which no one knows. It cannot be raw score because if it is a raw score, then your score has to be multiple of 3. And I've seen that the scores many a time never multiple of 3. For example, the cutoff is 208. That's not multiple of 3. So if someone is not scoring 208, how can the cutoff be 208? It could be either 207 or it should be 210, right? Which simply means that they normally scale, and scaling is generally done because every student in the same slot across India will get a different paper. I may have a difficult one, my neighbor may have a relatively easy. So they would have done some tagging on the back end about the difficulty and different parameters. According to that, your score would get shuffled up and down. We never, I mean, no one knows what the scale parameter. Okay. Ananya asks, from where shall I study input output type question? Good question. Again, Ananya, input output questions in NMAT are a different level question altogether. They are not very generic questions which are available in the books available in market, or to an extent I would say they are not even available in all the study material of coaching institutes. There are some questions which are randomly asked in NMAT. For example, I discussed one of the example in while we were discussing in the last the first half an hour. They will ask you to find out the third step, then second step to the left of that. Sometimes they ask you to find out if this process goes on infinitely, what will be the output after 2 years and 16 days. So you need to practice the mocks, because mocks will definitely have such questions. If you find online you will definitely not find online, or such kind of questions which are asked in NMAT regarding input output. Shruti has asked, when do you come to know the raw score? Okay, raw score ideally you get within 5 days or in 22 days, between 5 to 20, because NMAT, they declare the score of 15 days, they consider that as a one window, and for those 15 days they declare the score. Okay, so if someone would have written on the first day, so it will take 21 22 days. Someone would have taken last day of that window, would get in 5 or 6 days. So it really depends when are you taking the exam. Shikha has asked, which mock test series is best for NMAT? I believe there are various test series available. To name, there is Test Panda, you have one from CPLC, you have one from Olive Board. These are a couple of test series which are very good at it. So maybe you can focus on, I think what the feedback that I've got from my student is that the Test Panda is the most closest to the actual NMAT. So maybe you can check and take a review and then take your call. Nikhil has asked, what are the final selection procedure for NMIMS and what weightage is given to different parameter in the selection, in the final selection? Okay. Good, Nikhil, that you are so confident that you will clear your NMAT first. Okay. So if you clear your NMAT, around 70% of the score weightage, your NMAT is given to the NMAT. 70% is given to your NMAT score. Now remaining 30%. So you have a case discussion, you have a case discussion followed by an interview, and you also have to submit your SOP, that is statement of purpose. You have to courier it to them. Apart from that, they also have some weightage given to your academics and some weightage given to your work experience, but that is relatively very less as compared to the interview and the case discussion which happens. So roughly what I know is case discussion is 10 marks, interview is 15 marks, ACADS and WorkX profile put together is 5%, and the 70% is your NMAT score. Yeah, Sachin has asked, last minute brush up tips for NMAT. To be very honest, there cannot be last minute brush up tip for any entrance exams. If you still ask me, if you still insist me, I would say focus on vocabulary and maybe brush up font formulas and concept, because logic I don't think you need to brush up anything. It's different every time. So maybe you can focus on formulas and concepts, different varieties of questions in NMAT, and maybe vocabulary. Aditya, last question. Are there sectional cutoff in NMAT or only my total percentile and score would count? There is definitely a sectional cutoff. I think we have covered that. Around 74, 75 marks in quant, 60, 61 marks in LR, and 55 marks in verbal, and overall around 208, 209 is the cutoff. I'm talking about PGDBM. I'm talking about MBA core, that is Mumbai campus. For PGDBM Bangalore and Hyderabad, it is uh, 4, 5, 5, 6 marks in each section, quant and LR lesser, and overall is around 200. Sachin has asked, okay. Thank you, Sachin, for recommending Test Panda for the test series. Okay, Gaurav has asked, not able to read all the questions in quant because of DI. Should I straight away bluff? Very good, Gaurav. It's again good that you know that you're not able to read because of DI. If you know it, why wouldn't you dare to try and solve DI? To be very honest, Gaurav, I am a quant LRDI faculty. When I take NMAT, that's my strategy that I have to first go through all 28 questions in quant. Being a quant faculty, I go through all 28 questions in quant in around 45 minutes, 45 minutes. Okay. Out of which I could attempt around 24, 25 questions. But that may not be the case with you. Okay. And in the last 15 minutes, I solved around 2 DI sets. Okay. If you are even able to attempt, let's say 25 quant question, and out of even 25, you get 22 correct, you still get 66 marks there. Right? And in the remaining 23 questions, even if you get 5 correct, 66 plus 15, it takes you to 81, right? Which clears your cutoff. That's very good that you know where you're going wrong. Ashish. Ashish has asked, how much is the difference between the raw and the scale score? I am taking my first NMAT on 7th and based on the score, I would take the second. How much should be the raw score be? To be very honest, no one knows what is the difference between, because the NMIM is, the NMAT test conductor, they don't disclose what is your actual score and what is your scaled score. You only get the scaled score. Okay. What I've generally seen, the students who are getting the scores of around 200, 210 in the test series, they normally tend to score in that range. Some score 215, 216, but someone scoring 200 plus definitely does not score less than 190 for sure. So the scale is not, it's not 40, 50 marks. Maybe it would be around 10, 15 plus or minus. So if you want to play the safe bet, then ideally you should be targeting around 220 in your mocks. If you are getting 220, then I think 210 would be a cakewalk, even if the scores get, scaled up or down. Okay. Ashish has asked, how much is the difference between, I think, okay, Ashish, I think I answered that question, Ashish. Okay. Vikrant has asked, I am preparing for CAT since last 4 months, so only taking mocks will help. I can take up to 10 mocks, have enough of time till the day. Uh, Vikrant, if you are clear with your concepts, the basic concept, I'm not talking about the concept which are asked in CAT, you don't need to be, too strong and, too focused with your concept. Even if you know, let's say all concepts, super say, basics if you know it, and if you're focusing only on mocks, giving 10 mocks, should suffice. But important thing will be to analyze that mock very carefully. See, if your scores is around 150 or 160 mark, Vikrant, ideally your analysis time should be 5-6 hours. If you are doing your analysis in 1.5 2 hours, which means you are not doing your analysis thoroughly. You should do your analysis thoroughly. That is the most important thing to do. Even if you are able to write only 8 marks, but doing analysis properly, thoroughly, I would suggest that rather than taking 10 marks and not doing analysis of where you are going wrong. Okay. Pranali has asked, how many mocks should I take before a week of the exam? Ideally, let's say you have an exam on Sunday, maybe you can take a mock on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't overburden yourself by taking every day one mock. That will definitely not help you. Okay. Now, what you can also do is, ideally, this is what you should be doing is. So, for example, you have your NMAT exam from 10 to 12, for example. Take your mock in the time slot of 10 to 12 so that you get used to writing the actual mock in 10 to 12 time period. So your mind is trained for that time period taking mock. It does not make, according to me, does not make sense. If your mock timing is 10 to 12 when you're practicing late night, you know, if you start your mock at 9 to 11 in the night or 10 to 12 in the night, it does not make sense. So take the mock when you have the actual exam. See, if you want to succeed, I mean, I'll just give you an example of the wrestler who went to Rio and the badminton shuttlers who went to Rio and won the medals. When the matches were going to happen in Rio, it was a night in India. 1 year before Rio, they were practicing they're practicing at night. They used to wake up at night according to Rio time and they were practicing it. If you want to succeed, train your body, train your mind in that time frame. We are still here and we'll appreciate if you have any doubt. We would clear your doubts. We are there for next 10 minutes more. Thank you, Cherry. Thank you, Vikrant. Okay. Thank you, guys. I hope you crack your NMAT and get into NMIMS. All the best. Thank you very much.